Do you like wrestling? Do you ever watch wrestling?
No. Nope.
And The Rock said, whoa, 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 because I'm still standing here.
What's up, gang? Welcome to another episode of Watch Wrestling with Mike Wellman, the podcast that breaks down the biggest stories in and out of the ring. I am your host. My name is Mike Wellman. I am joined, as always, by the inimitable, the infamous, the notorious voice of the people, wrestling fan Kris. What's up, Kris?
What's up, Mike? Good to be here on the road to Wrestlemania.
The road to Wrestlemania. The road is almost over. It is almost WrestleMania week. So we got a lot to get to on this episode. We're going to be talking about just catching up on the build to WrestleMania with Cody and Cena and Punk and Rollins and Reigns and Heyman and Tiffy and Charlotte and Rhea and Bianca and Io and Corey, maybe. Who else? And Solo, and oh wait, does Solo have a match at WrestleMania? I actually don't know if he does. Jacob does, though.
That's right.
Yes, we're going to talk about the build to the big matches at WrestleMania, the big storylines going into WrestleMania week. And we're also going to jump over and talk about some AEW stuff. Kenny Omega is outing one of the Young Bucks, we don't know which one, as a potential see you next Saturday cuck. I don't know. But yes, we're going to talk about Kenny and Matthew and Nicholas and Swerve and Montel and Maxwell and who else? Kyle and some other folks in AEW. So we got a lot to get to, folks. Thank you for hitting that play button. Thank you for checking us out as if this is the first time you're discovering this fine podcast. Been taking some time off. We're back. The nesting phase is almost complete. For those avid followers, you may know that I am expecting my second child, and it was going to be going down right during the Cult of Personality music at WrestleMania, because we were really fearing a WrestleMania weekend baby, but luckily, so far, we're now scheduled for the Tuesday after WrestleMania. Whew! Oh, the week after WrestleMania. So my WrestleMania plans are not doomed. So that's good. And so we're going to talk about WrestleMania on this episode. Are you still there, Kris?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. I just didn't hear any scratching noises. I don't know who you have held hostage, but it got silent for a minute, so I wasn't sure if maybe your hostage escaped.
No.
So, yes, WrestleMania, the build is in full swing. We came out of the European tour, and I was supposed to introduce wrestling fan Kris by singing the song. You know, the wrestling fan Kris song. Wrestling fan Kris. Wrestling fan Kris. You know, Kris, what they sing about you when you go to Europe?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Many times I've been there.
Wrestling fan Kris. Wrestling fan Kris. I'm pretty sure those lyrics go on for about 3.5 hours.
Yeah. It's like Bret Hart, me. That's European popularity, okay?
Right. And then obviously the British Bulldog.
Yeah, I'm above him though. Sorry, guys.
Yes. So if you've been living under a rock, WWE had their European tour this year before WrestleMania. So they went to Europe, which they normally do in the springtime in April. But we got to see it on Raw and SmackDown over the course of what seemed like an entire month of me checking my social media feeds and realizing on a Monday afternoon when the sun is shining that Raw is on.
I liked it though.
I did. I thoroughly enjoyed an afternoon Raw. It's better.
I agree. They just move to Europe.
Just switch the time. It's totally fine for me.
That'd be so great. It's on Netflix now. Who cares?
Yeah, exactly. Just make people go to arenas at 3, 4 in the afternoon on a weeknight in cities.
That's a good point.
So, but
That's
yeah,
a good point.
They were in Brussels and London and Paris and Tokyo. No, they were all over Europe, and like I said, they were on Raw and SmackDown. It wasn't just like a cram all the dates into one week and a half thing. So we got to see these wild crowds chanting for Roman Reigns, and Cody Rhodes. And then the American crowd started doing it, right? So now we'll see how long this one lasts, if it becomes a permanent thing.
I kind of like it. It's a fun chant. I get it.
Wrestling fan Kris. It's great. So that was the only thing notable to come out of the European tour was fans chanting. So,
Yeah, it's pretty. The
Moving on.
8 shows that were there, doesn't matter.
Yep. So let's get into the build to WrestleMania. Let's talk about the main event of this year's WrestleMania, folks. The undisputed WWE Championship between Cody Rhodes and one heel, John Cena. So I don't know if we talked about John Cena turning heel at all. I thought it was great overall, just the nature of the heel turn, and then I thought that it got a little bit, just to nitpick, a little bit off track there with John Cena kind of using the same tone, voice, and demeanor that he did as a heel. Just now he's championing the cause of everybody else being a jerk to him. So that's why he's no longer just going to be nice to you guys. Or us guys, right?
Yeah, I mean, the turn was great. Like, I agree with you. I mean, it's John Cena as a heel cutting, like, angry promos and being angry with people, which is great. But you're right, it kind of did fizzle a little bit. And I kind of just wish he wasn't wearing the jorts and the hat and stuff still. Just give me something else.
Well, I mean, my tinfoil hat theory would be that the heel turn for John Cena wasn't the most forethought out thing. Mm-hmm. So perhaps they had these T-shirts, shirts, wristbands, fanny packs, shower caddies already made for each of these towns and cities, or planned. And then they decided after that to turn him heel. So now we have all of this John Cena merch with doors on it.
That's good. All right. I see what you're saying, and I think we all know who to blame that on. But, it's going to be fun. And Cena as a heel champion, which I think is going to happen, will also be fun. I think it could be better. I'm not saying it's bad, but it could be better. And that makes me sad.
So Cody is determined this time around to get his shit in on the mic, it seems. Because he's not letting these big shots walk all over him. He's getting in there like and the first time he screamed at him, and he's like he's making sure that he's not afterthought here. Well, the spotlight from these big Hollywood guys, takes up the whole story.
Yeah, and it's hold on a second, sorry.
See, I just muted myself, and he obviously you heard his whole gimmick.
Last year, I mean, The Rock did outshine Cody last year, I would say, right? But it was awesome.
What were you saying, Kris?
We all need some refreshments. Last year when The Rock was doing his stuff, it was awesome, even if Cody was kind of overshadowed. And that was the exact Rock that we wanted, like a really smarmy heel Rock. And that's kind of how I want John Cena to be. And he's more mad. It seems like he's just more mad at the fans, even though, like, I think everyone kind of turned back and we're like, we love John Cena again. So this is like a 5-year-old, like maybe 5 years ago, 6 years ago, Cena was doing this to be awesome. But now it's just kind of like you said, it seems like rushed. It seems like it wasn't thought out, wasn't fleshed out.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. They are giving you a reason, right? He's coming out. It's not that he doesn't have a reason. It's just, okay, it's like, you came out, you kind of said that the fans were just kind of like bossing you around for 20 years and you're finally sick of it. And they don't appreciate you and stuff. And then, but the lack of presence of your two friends, your two partners in crime here, John Cena, your two best buds, The Rock and Travis Scott, has made this a little bit less than what it could be, with maybe The Rock showing up once or twice on camera, or even being mentioned, like even just shooting something. Because The Rock is, how many years was there where all you got was, hey, it's The Rock, I'm on a movie set, just checking into Raw to say thanks to the WWE Universe or whatever, Yeah. And then last year, he was on Instagram every week in a different city, in a bull riding arena or what have you. So why can't The Rock deliver these Instagram promos to try to tie this thing together,
I agree. I don't know. I was just going to say that too before you mentioned it. Like, he doesn't even have to be there. Go back on Instagram, Rock. It doesn't have to be an hour and 15 minutes, but just give me something, because it would bring more richness to it. Because like, The Rock is kind of not the reason, but I mean, he was there and he kind of gave the evolution thumbs down to Cena to turn, and now he's just conspicuous by his absence.
The cutthroat, the throat.
It's over. Yeah,
that's how you know.
And I understand Cena's. I'll go back to like changing Cena's look. I get like maybe like you said the merch is there, and maybe he can't like cut his hair or like do so mess with his face because he has acting roles he has to do. I get it, but I don't know. It's just you can change your clothes, man. If you don't like the fans, don't wear the stuff that they love and they bought for years. That's all.
The new thing in wrestling is to like retcon and try to come up with some explanation for why something that didn't make sense happened. Or why something may not seem like it's making sense. Both WWE and AEW are doing this to the fans where rather than just coming up with better writing and doing things that make more sense and planning things out logically, they're just willing to go back and make up some weird thing to go, oh, yeah, that's why.
Yep.
So that's kind of why with like the whole Cena outfit's not changing. He came out and he said, you're not getting a new look. You're not getting this or that. You're just getting me. And
I know, but come on.
Yeah, and then it took a while for him and Cody to really start fighting.
Yep.
Like everybody talks about the famous WrestleMania 17, like the My Way or the Highway promo with The Rock and Austin and Limp Bizkit. For the kids who don't know who Limp Bizkit is, there's a band. They were a band, and then that's it. They were just a band, and they were fighting throughout this whole like every week. They're crushing beers and fighting, and it's like the music is to 20 different fights these guys got into leading up to that WrestleMania match. So with Cena and Cody, it's like, yeah, they've Cena got a crossroads, but that's really it. And like I said, The Rock hasn't been involved. So regardless of who wins, I think a lot of people think Cena's going to win just to get him that 17th world championship.
Yeah. Yep.
And I actually think that a good thing to do would be to have Cody win, because realistically, what are you giving the fan? Like, what does that moment look like when Cena wins? He's a bad guy, and he's not even like an anti-hero bad guy where you're enthusiastic about his level of badassery or coolness or even brutality. He's just kind of now, instead of being a milquetoast babyface, he's a milquetoast heel. So what does the moment look like where Cena wins? Okay.
Good point.
You got the 5 moves of doom. Boom, 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 boom. You can hear the mat. Choom, choom, choom. Pick up a big man, slam him. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Cena wins. But boo. Right? Because he's heel.
Good. That's a good point. I mean,
do you destroy him like they did in AEW and they destroyed Bryan, where the crowd is silenced?
You don't want to do that. No.
Brutally put a bag over Cody's head.
Especially when this is going to be presumably like night 2's ender. So, like, maybe if Jey Uso and Gunther were going to be after that, Jay's definitely going to win that, I would say. So that could be the crowd pleaser, but that's not going to happen. So, that's not a bad idea. Like when Roman won 2 years ago, and everyone thought Cody was going to win. That could be this kind of swerve. But this is not going to happen at all. In my dreams, I want Cody. It can't work. It's too convoluted. Never mind. I was like Cody to go corporate at WrestleMania. That's not going to happen, though.
I think, obviously, the obvious choice is Cena wins, like I said, but I just don't understand how you can make that moment kind of entertaining if we all see it coming. So that's the challenge that they have. I'm sure they'll come up with something. Maybe The Rock finally comes out, like, at the end, as opposed to being this ever-present piece. He's kind of like the match is maybe almost over and he comes out. I don't know. But I think what they should do is have Cody win. I think Cody should win. Yay, Cody wins. Thank goodness. And then just maybe the next night on Raw, John Cena. Like, let's do a rematch in a steel cage, blah, blah, blah. Just do it on Raw.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah.
Literally the next night. Seems fine to me.
Definitely. And then Cena can have a little bit of a run until like SummerSlam or something. It all depends on how long Cena's actually going to be here for the whole year. He's definitely going to get that belt at some point. But that's not bad. I don't think it's going to happen, but you haven't lost touch of your booking,
I'm just curious. Like I said, I'm curious. How do you end WrestleMania here with a big moment that we all kind of see coming and won't be that big? So let's move on now. Let's talk about the real main event, the people's main event, the match that, in my opinion, is carrying the build to WrestleMania 41, the triple threat match with Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and CM Punk. I think originally this match started out where they just had these guys and they didn't exactly know what to do with them, and they just decided that the best thing to do is just to kind of put them all into one thing. Like, you could have just done Roman and Punk, but adding Seth Rollins just adds a little bit of star power to this. You could have held off on Rollins and Punk until WrestleMania adding Roman, but then Roman would have been the odd man out. So I feel like they're just packing star power into this match. But then what it's actually become is, in my opinion, like I said, the story that's carrying the build because of one piece of the puzzle, Paul Heyman.
Yes.
So Heyman is the linchpin in all this because he's the wise man for Roman Reigns, but CM Punk is the OG Paul Heyman guy. And they've even found a way to rope Seth Rollins in as the weeks go on because Heyman is like a master at convincing you that maybe there's something else going on under the surface, but you couldn't possibly know what until he reveals it.
Mm-hmm.
So we get, this contract signing where Punk says he's owed this favor from Paul Heyman from joining the Bloodline team and helping the Bloodline essentially vanquish the new Bloodline back at Survivor Series War Games.
Yep.
So now we think that the favor is that Punk is going to get this match at WrestleMania, but it's actually not the favor. Or that Punk is going to get the main event. Paul Heyman says, congratulations, you're in the main event of WrestleMania. And it is kind of a funny dichotomy that these guys are in this match, because think about it. You've got CM Punk, the guy whose biggest grievance was that he never main evented a WrestleMania, and he should have. He should have done it over The Miz. He should have done it over The Rock, right? All these guys when he was, back in WWE in like the 2010s. So now he finally gets this chance, right? He comes back. Has his whole story and his whole long and winding tale to get back to WWE. And now Paul Heyman says, you get the main event finally. And it's like, you just look over, and here are these two guys that have been main eventing WrestleMania for the past decade. Roman Reigns was the main event of WrestleMania 31, WrestleMania 32, WrestleMania 33, WrestleMania 34, WrestleMania 30. Was he the main event of 37? No, because he wrestled Drew. 38, 39, and 40. It's like Roman Reigns has been in the main event of like 8 WrestleManias. Seth Rollins has, in my opinion, the best WrestleMania moment of all time at WrestleMania 31, stealing the main event in the championship.
Yep.
And plenty of other main events. He beats Brock Lesnar in the opening match of WrestleMania, but it was the World Championship. So these guys are just like, congratulations to you. You get your first main event, and someone needed to do you a favor for you to get it. We've been main eventing WrestleMania for the past decade. I feel like that was just a funny thing to notice. But so then Punk was like, actually, that's not the favor. Right? Main eventing WrestleMania.
Yep.
So
isn't the favor having Paul Heyman in his corner?
Oh, right. Yes. So then he has to have. So now Paul Heyman is going to be in Punk's corner against Roman. So that adds all of this extra. Like, what does that mean? How far against Roman is Paul Heyman going to actually work? Right. How much is he really going to affect the match to benefit Punk when those moments come down to it, when it's Punk and Roman?
Yep.
So this thing has had all of these twists and turns every week. Like I said, been carrying the build to the show, and I'm definitely most excited for this match. It's obviously going to main event night 1.
You think? I hope it should. Yeah, it will. It will.
So then we have the World Championship, Gunther versus Jey Uso, and Jey Uso won the Royal Rumble, and I'm glad that they aren't trying to shoehorn this match into a main event spot and just saying, the other match is more important here, right?
Yep.
Because you could have just said Jey Uso versus Gunther, main events, night 1. That's all there is to it. And then it would have been fine, I guess,
It's like, which makes me think, I don't know. I actually like the build. I think we do talk before the show started about if we thought the build kind of like plateaued, but I kind of like where it's going. Gunther has been more cocky and smarmy as the day goes on. He's beating up Jimmy Uso as the time goes on. He's beating up Jimmy Uso. Now he's real confident, and then Jey Uso still has the crowd behind him, and he's giving fiery promos, and I do like the builds. And I'm actually looking forward to. I would assume Jay's gonna win, and I actually kind of know I think it's gonna happen, but I'm gonna be hyped when it happens.
I think that as this has gone on, I am now leaning more towards Gunther winning, because I don't know. I just feel like maybe, like I said, the build may have peaked a little bit in the beginning, or the interest may have peaked a little bit in the beginning. I do like how they're bringing Jimmy into this. I just don't know. Gunther and Jey Uso, I don't know what this one's missing, to be honest. But it's not... Nobody is crying for this one to be in the main event spot.
Yeah, I mean, I would like... I just need Jey Uso to win because you can't always get these main event opportunities and always lose. You can't be Dolph Ziggler, where you're like, I'm finally going to do it. And then, you know, he just never, in his end of his career in WWE, he always got shots and never did it. And he always said he was going to do it. And if he, excuse me, jeez Louise. But if you keep losing, you just come off as a loser. And this is Jey Uso. All he needs to do is win. He can even win at WrestleMania and then on Raw, lose the title back to Gunther. It doesn't matter. You just got to win once and you're a main eventer for life. That's what needs to happen.
I don't think he should lose the next night. I mean,
no, he doesn't have to, but he could. And all he needs to do is win.
Yeah, and this is the thing. This is what I was saying about the Cena match. Is doesn't portend a great moment for the fans, but Jey Uso winning still could be a great moment. Yep. It's just that Gunther doesn't have a lot of heat as a heel. That's the problem. He doesn't have this bloodline or this Death Rider crew coming out here and getting the whole place to boo him. You know.
Yeah.
He
and
had
I would like
Kaiser, and now he's off in the DMs now. So
very good. I would like Gunther to have a long run like he did with the Intercontinental title, but I just don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, so we'll see where that match goes. I do think it's a night one, but we'll see if it's just the co-main event, you know, or maybe they put it on first.
Yeah, they might. That would go as start.
So then on the women's side, let's do this triple threat first. So we have Bianca Belair, who won the Women's Elimination Chamber to challenge for the WWE Women's World Championship, which was won by Io Sky over Rhea Ripley. And then now it's Io versus Bianca, but Rhea is pissed, so Rhea's back in. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, to be honest, if they said, like, if Io had just lost the belt back to Rhea Ripley, I would have been fine with that too, because you could have said, well, why did you have like a 2-week title reign? You could say, well, just build to WrestleMania. There's twists and turns, right? It's like you don't know who's going to be at WrestleMania. Theoretically, titles can change. But now we've just got this triple threat situation, which I don't hate, but I feel like they just couldn't pick a combination of two of these people.
I don't hate either. I just do get worried. There's a lot of multi-person matches at this WrestleMania. So I mean, we don't know the other ones, but it seems like there's probably going to be like an Intercontinental one, maybe a tag team, multiple people in the match kind of thing. So I don't necessarily like a lot of those, but I don't know. I like the idea of Io and Rhea and Bianca in a match. I think that's going to be awesome. I think it's great to have them there. I love Io. I don't think she's going to come out as a champion, but I like her in that match. So if it had to be a triple threat to get her there, that's fine with me.
Yeah. And then on the SmackDown side for the WWE Women's Championship, we have the champion Tiffany Stratton defending against the returning Nepo Queen Charlotte Flair. So these two are at each other's throats. This has built up the interest here more than it probably would have been. So the first thing that happened was their kind of like via satellite promo, where Charlotte ate Tiffany for lunch there, which Charlotte is known to do. So then Tiffany kind of comes back the next week, and Charlotte starts mocking her. Charlotte is seemingly getting affected by the fans booing her. So, but isn't she the heel in this situation? And Tiffany is the babyface. So then she's mad the fans are booing her. And then she comes out with how she's the Nepo Queen, and I don't really know how that was that offensive, to be honest. She is kind of a Nepo baby. That was kind of the whole point. Isn't that like half of all wrestling people is that their parents were in wrestling?
Yes.
So and especially when like even in NXT, like Ric Flair is in her corner, you know, in her matches.
I was just thinking that. Yep.
Against Natalya. Yep. So I mean, I don't think her owning that is anything new. So she says she's the Nepo Queen, and then people are booing her, and then Tiffany has one little hiccup, and Charlotte jumps all over her, being like, "Oh, what? I couldn't hear you." And then Tiffany Stratton says something like, "Aren't you 0-3 in marriages?" Or no, she didn't even say. She just said, "Isn't your record like 0-3?" And it's like, because Charlotte has now been divorced 3 times.
Yeah.
You know, most recently to Andrade.
I mean, I love Tiffany Stratton, and she has to like fight for herself. I mean, but like, is that really that effective a line? I guess it's personal. It kind of makes jabs at her, so I like that. But I don't know.
It got to Charlotte and it got to the fans, so I think that means it did its job.
You're right. If it got to yeah, you're right. If it got to Charlotte, it did its job, and
The fans.
she is getting annoyed by the people by the fans booing, which kind of makes me like, I'm glad that she's getting like Tiffany's kind of like getting to her with her stuff, because sorry, you keep winning. I think she's she's probably gonna win, and they're gonna just boo her forever.
Yeah, I mean, what I was going to say was you have 2 options. You either have the fans boo Charlotte and you get somebody over, or you have the fans boo Charlotte and you get nobody over. Because that's what's going to happen. They're going to boo Charlotte.
Yes.
You let me know when she comes out as a babyface and doesn't get booed. Just let me know when that happens. When she comes out as a babyface and gets cheered as a baby, as much as other babyfaces, as much as Bayley does.
I know. I will say though, it's going to be an awesome match. I am looking forward to the match.
Yeah, so Tiffy comes out and says, "Aren't you 0-3?" And then Charlotte says, "Well, that's why Kaiser is in my DMs." Ludwig Kaiser is Tiffany Stratton's real life boyfriend in WWE. And then it's like, so people online were talking about whether or not these two are going to be able to get along, and I think it's going to be totally fine. I think it just, like I said, adds interest to the match. And as far as one person or the other, I think people are completely justified to try to prevent themselves from getting buried, you know?
Yeah, I agree.
So if that's what's happening, are you just going to stand there and take it and let somebody, because careers have been ruined by one-liners. It's not, once you give somebody a really awful nickname, sometimes it can stick for their whole career. Once you point out a fact about somebody, sometimes it can stick for a long time. And wrestlers do that to each other, and it happens, and everybody just talks about the person who made the sick burn and how they're cool because they had a funny joke. And it's like, yeah, it was funny. It was cool. But then you don't realize that the person now has this weird label on them, or people, it's like you can change what the fans think about somebody else just by making fun of them, even if they didn't necessarily deserve it or do anything, or even ask for it, So defending yourself against that, to me, is totally fine. It's fair game.
I'm with you, and I'm glad she did.
Yeah.
Even if it did kind of get to Charlotte, which I like. And they're definitely going to get along. I mean, come on. Drew McIntyre was talking about how much he actually does not like CM Punk and how much CM Punk doesn't like him, but they're like, it's the business. We're going to make money, so let's just do it. You don't have to be friends backstage. You just work together. Yeah,
and I don't think that it inherently means that things are going to go. I mean, think about HBK and Bret Hart. These guys were talking about, marital affairs and whatnot on TV, having fist fights, and they still were like just negotiating the finish of the match. Like, we're going to go out and wrestle. It's going to be great. What's the finish going to be, Yeah,
exactly. I mean, you're exactly right.
They still, when it came down to it, they still got to work together. So I don't know if that's an issue, but we'll see. I just found it to be interesting, obviously, as everybody else did. I think Tiffany Stratton is not going to retain that title, though, against Charlotte.
Agreed.
So,
yes.
Especially after, pissing off the Nepo Queen.
Yeah, that's going to be... But it'll be a good match, at least. And Charlotte, if there's one thing about her, she is very good at wrestling, so she can put on a great match, and then maybe we can be like, okay, it's fine. We're still going to boo you, but you're good. Yeah.
So, let's see, we talked about the 2 title matches. So we have this Intercontinental title, possible 4-man, 6-man match. So the Intercontinental Champion, Braun Breaker, he has been mixing it up here with Penta, which I think is great. I think Penta is been doing awesome in WWE so far,
Yep.
No complaints. I think that I obviously wish he could just have awesome matches, one-on-one matches with people. Penta versus Rey Mysterio would have been something good.
Yes.
But looks like we might be getting a combination of Braun Breaker, Penta, Dom Mysterio, maybe, which is another good combination, or Finn Balor, maybe. Is there anybody else I'm missing in the mix there?
I think those are the main ones, yeah.
So So that's the Intercontinental title. Then we have the U.S. title, which is now it's LA Knight, the champ, versus Jacob Fatu, right?
Oh yeah,
It's going to be good. Jacob Fatu hopefully will win that title. I don't see why he wouldn't.
I agree.
Not a lot of build to this one. The build was more with Jacob and Solo, to me.
Yeah. But I mean, that's one of those things where LA Knight is so popular and Jacob Fatu is so good. It's just like, fine, do it.
Yeah, there's a lot of matches on here. So then there's also the first women's singles match in a while that hasn't been for a championship between Jade Cargill and Naomi.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
So that's going to be interesting. We've also got, just going off of memory, isn't that new masked luchador in WWE that they just signed wrestling?
Yes. I think he's wrestling Rey Mysterio.
Oh, he is? Wait,
Yeah.
I was talking about Rey Fenix. No, just kidding.
Nice.
Yes, Rey Fenix, Penta, both in WWE. Just as a ridiculous amount of luchador talent. Like I just mentioned, Rey Mysterio. You can kind of count Dom Mysterio. He's got a lot of lucha in his blood there. But then we have the newest luchador, the AI luchador, El Grande Americano, who people don't like. Mexicans are not liking this. The community, the wrestling community in Mexico. Yeah. And once I found out why, totally don't blame them. I watched it originally and I was like, this isn't that racist. Right? This is the least racist trope in wrestling. You know, that we've seen. And I mean, his name is El Grande Americano. He's saying he's from America. The Gulf of America thing pissed off Mexicans. The AI portion pissed off kind of just like everybody.
Yeah.
With 18-fingered fans. And ultimately, I do think it was culturally insensitive, you know? And but I don't find it's not like he's coming out here like at the level of insensitivity of like the Muhammad Hassan character or even like Kamala and Kimchi or there's been so many instances of like xenophobia. I think it was accidental. I think it was more of the tone, you know. But good on anybody for getting mad, you know, about like the Gulf of America or whatever.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I think what has to happen is that Rey Mysterio has to obviously win, right? And this charade.
Yeah, I think Rey Mysterio. I'm mad that he's not wrestling Dom. I looked at my notebook and I still have that one booked. Dom versus Rey, WrestleMania 41. I had Rey booked to win, and in this case, we're getting Rey Mysterio versus El Grande Americano. Rey Mysterio is another person who's going to be having a retirement tour coming up soon. He's going to be winding down his career.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
After John Cena. So I don't see what the old El Grande Americano Shorty G gains from beating Rey Mysterio. I think he's just in there and then maybe you just unmask him and end this thing at that point.
Yeah. I do wish Chad Gable was. He's so good. I do wish he was a little more, wins a little more.
Why are you talking about Chad Gable? He's not on the WrestleMania card. We're just talking about Rey Mysterio.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, why isn't he on the card? Like, he's good. Where's he at?
Where's Chad Gable? All right, now I'm going to look up the card to get the rest of this WrestleMania card to see if there's any of the big stuff that I'm missing. Fake websites. Fake.
I thought you were going to say fake sports.
Yeah, this website is fake, and so is this sport. So we got AJ Styles and Logan Paul. This one gets a gigantic meh from me. I mean, it's you know, Logan Paul with him being an outsider. There's interesting pairings as well, and also being skilled, where he's already wrestled Roman Reigns, right, and all these guys.
Yeah.
I don't know what you get out of AJ Styles versus Logan Paul match, other than AJ Styles being able to carry Logan Paul.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I agree with you. Logan Paul's fine. Excuse me. I just hate Logan Paul and I hate Jake Paul. And as much as Logan Paul's very talented, can we do something better with AJ Styles? I don't know. It'll be a good match, but you're right. AJ Styles will carry him. Logan Paul will do some fun stuff. It'll be fine. I'd actually like this to open up WrestleMania just to get it over with.
Yeah, that's a good. I was just gonna say that. I mean, the problem is it's not really a hot opener. You kind of got to stick it. It's kind of got to be like the come down match after a really good one. You know, you kind of got to get. It's like the break match. But yeah, I get what you're saying about Logan Paul, and it's not this whole like, oh, he's a good heel, so we want to boo him and yell, "You suck." Just don't. I'm just at the go away heat stage. You know, he came into wrestling, did a great job. You know, nothing like very good prospect in the ring, phenomenally talented, but just the annoying character. It's like just like his life. He's just a really one-sided guy, just douche. You know, he's just got one setting, douchebag.
I was gonna say, like, it's not like other wrestlers where you don't really know them in their personal life. Like, Logan Paul's been around for a long time being a douche, so the character of him you just know is real, and you're just like, ugh, this is a real person who's really like this. Yeah,
and it just also just speaks to the whole like, and he's talented and in the ring, but it just speaks to the whole like constantly looking to now celebrify everything, you know, where everything's got to be a crossover. Like, I love the I Show Speed stuff, and to me, that's what a celebrity crossover should be, is like, get this guy in here, spear the shit out of him, and get him out. Yes. And granted, Logan Paul maybe spear him twice. No. I mean, he's more talented than that, obviously, but I just mean, you know, he's still acting like a celebrity coming into wrestling. That's his character still, and it's kind of boring at this point. It's like, do something. Start a faction, go after a title again, do something. So.
It's funny because he's like the old days when a person who didn't like come up in the business, quote unquote, or paid his dues, they would get like treated like shit. And I always go like, man, these wrestlers are garbage. Come on, like Daniel Puder. But I'm just like, man, I wish these wrestlers would treat him like shit. Come on.
Yeah, I'm not advocating that anybody treat Daniel Puder nicely.
Good point.
No, I'm just kidding. I don't have anything. But yeah, it's like, can't we vet this guy out of here? Where's Vader? Get Vader to fucking open hand slap this dude. Or no, that was Dr. D, right?
Yeah.
Get Dr. D in here to open hand slap this fool. That's called an open hand slap, boy.
Oh man.
No, I don't want that to happen either. But so the Intercontinental title match, the Braun Breaker, Penta, Balor, Dominic, is on WWE.com, the official source for all wrestling information.
Yes, correct.
So there you go. So Jade Cargill, Naomi, Rey Mysterio, El Grande Americano, LA Knight, Jacob Fatu. Yeah, so that is a WrestleMania card. How many matches is that? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. Probably going to add like 3 more matches.
Yeah. There's no tag team title match on there yet, right? So that'll be there.
Yeah, maybe.
There's got to be. Who knows, though? Maybe The Rock's going to be out there and he needs like an hour and 45 minutes. So
are they really going to keep Solo Sikoa off of this WrestleMania? Is he injured? He's not injured, right?
I don't think so.
It's a cold world.
He had his run. It's over.
It's done. He peaked. But yeah, so that is a WrestleMania card. We're probably going to talk about it a little bit more next week in the WrestleMania week episode of the show that we do. So we are also going to be putting out next week as many as we can get to, but we're going to be doing some reflections on early WrestleMania memories and then more recent WrestleMania memories. So we're going to do a couple of bonus episodes talking about our fandom in terms of growing up, watching WrestleMania events as kids, and then how that kind of transformed into, just being immature, having Arrested Development, and watching them as adults. No, just kidding. Well, not really. But hey, actually, Chris, I was at the trampoline park the other week, and one of my friends was there, former coworker, and her kids just were there as well. And her kids are like 8 and 9, these 2 boys. And she's like, yeah, my kids are getting into WWE now, so I hear them in the basement wrestling. And I'm just thinking to myself, oh, yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Like, oh, your kids are 8 and 9? Yeah, I like the same stuff. For sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's just always funny. No, like,
you should have told her, like, get them away from that. They don't need that for the rest of their lives.
Do your kids still watch Coco Melon? No? Oh, I do. No, just kidding. Yeah, it's just always funny. It's like, yes, I am a grown adult. Yes, I like wrestling. But to be honest, I could defend myself with that argument, okay? Because I don't think Swerve putting a syringe in Hangman's mouth or the Moxley spiked, that was just gruesome mutilation on television. That's all that was. It was not even a fake, like, gruesome horror movie. It was literal mutilation of Jon Moxley's back on television.
Oh, yeah.
All this blood all the time. I mean, I could justify an argument about wrestling being more for adults than kids, but I digress. This sport for children. Yes, so we're going to be talking about watching WrestleMania as kids and kind of growing up and kind of falling out of wrestling and coming back in, and now here we are. So we're going to do a couple bonus episodes. We're going to kind of break it down where the first chunk of the first half of these 40 WrestleManias that have occurred, we're going to just talk about, WrestleMania 1 through 20, some early WrestleMania memories. Then we're going to do another episode talking about more recent WrestleMania memories and the more recent years of WrestleMania. So yeah, so look out for that, and we're going to do another show next week talking about WrestleMania and any WrestleMania week updates. But we're not done. We're going to get to some AEW stuff next. So AEW had their Dynasty pay-per-view this past Sunday. I think they were in Philadelphia, where AEW World Champion Jon Moxley successfully defended the AEW World Championship against Swerve Strickland, with the help of the Death Riders and the returning EVPs, the Young Bucks, Matthew and Nicholas Jackson. I'm going to tell you, Chris, I'm watching this pay-per-view, right? Hang on. So I was watching this pay-per-view, and they had already run through the Death Riders. Now the Ops had even come out, Samoa Joe and Hook and Katsuyori Shibata. I was like, oh, cool, finally we got some good guys helping out here against the Death Riders. And the lights go out. And I'm like, who could this be? Aleister Black is gone. Like, the lights are going out. Who's it going to be? And the lights come on, and it's the Young Bucks in the ring against Swerve, setting up this big moment. And I just went, oh, are you kidding me? Why? Right there. Right in that moment.
I wasn't there with you, but I was like, this is definitely what Mike did. Oh man, I knew you were gonna do that.
Just groan. Like, first of all, the Young Bucks, they were, when they re-signed with AEW, they were bragging about how they are now the highest paid tag team in the history of wrestling, and then they disappear. Then they have the EVP gimmick where they were trying to have similar music to Roman Reigns. They were trying to troll by using the Cody Vader. They were dressing in the suits to troll, and it just wasn't as good as any of their previous gimmicks. Their original, tag team rockers gimmick. And so then they just kept going with the EVP gimmick. And then when Moxley basically took over and beat Bryan for the championship, they pieced out, said they were going to be working from home. And then they've just been gone for 6 months. They did the one thing in Japan, which I thought was going to bring them back to AEW at that point, the Wrestle Dynasty show in January. But nope, they did that show, still in their EVP clothes, with the three-piece, the sweater vests, or not sweater vests, what am I saying? The vests, suit vests.
Yep.
And then they were gone again. And now this is how they come back to AEW after essentially being gone for 6 months. They show up, they help Moxley, and Moxley didn't even ask for their help. They're not joined up with the Death Riders and Moxley. There's not some corporate ministry double faction crossover going on. They're just pitching to Moxley to kind of team up in the future. And then Kenny Omega comes out and calls one of them a cuck. But we don't know which one. Yeah,
I mean, it didn't make sense to me. I don't even know what they're trying to have make sense in it. I don't know.
Yeah, so it wasn't awesome, the return of the Young Bucks. I would have rather had Swerve just win the AEW World Championship, because I think that a lot of people are kind of over this Death Riders storyline. We talked about it on our last episode, about how it wasn't exactly lighting the world on fire. And then the other thing that I don't love is Kenny Omega comes out and he talks about how you two almost destroyed the company that I helped build. And it's like, here we are going back to when did the company almost get destroyed?
Yeah.
Like, what happened? Like, we're just talking about how, well, there was a time when the interest started to wane, and it's like nebulous, and we don't know when it was, but the numbers went down, but then they went back up. with like max viewers and DVR viewers. So now
Yeah.
we've been trying to restore the feeling, bruv, for like 2 years at this point, it seems like. You know? So it's like we're back to thinking that the feeling is gone and we're still trying to restore it. And I think they need to move past that.
Is he talking about how they made fun of how they ran CM Punk out and then like made fun of him and it kind of looks bad? Because does anyone care about that anymore?
Yeah, exactly. Like, at what point do you just move on? Like, when did AEW? When was are the doldrums in the past now? Are we firmly past them? Because if so, it definitely wasn't because of the Young Bucks, and obviously no fault of Omega's, but he wasn't around either. So why are these three guys the ones talking about? Oh, yep. Did you save AEW? Did you kill AEW? None of you were around. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like it's just a dead moot point to me.
Agreed. I mean, I'm glad the Young Bucks are back. They'll have some good matches, and up until this gimmick they were doing with the 3-piece suits, everything they touched was pretty good. They knew exactly what their characters were, how to get the heat, how to do everything. So you got to believe that they can do something with it. But hopefully, I don't know.
You know, they used to do time lapse films of how long their lines were at their merch tables, and the lines would be going back and around and around and back and out the door and around the town and down the street and around, and it would be crazy, and it would be constant, you know. And that's the feeling that we, you know, need to restore, bruv, is people caring about the Young Bucks, because look, whichever side you came out on the CM Punk beef, I was generally more aligned with the Young Bucks, but you got to look at who came out looking better and who didn't. And CM Punk, it's safe to say he's at least moved on from it, right? So it's like the Young Bucks, they moved on, but almost in like some weird defiant way where they're almost trolling, I don't know, giving people what they want, it seems.
Yeah. Who knows? Like, I don't know.
But now
I know.
Now we're looking at getting the Young Bucks versus maybe Swerve and Omega, because now apparently the Young Bucks still like Hangman, but they don't like Kenny, which this whole Elite story, this is like NWO fucking like Booker T and Shawn Michaels in the NWO at this point, right? On like Raw. That's the level of the Elite. Who's in the Elite? They fired Kenny Omega from the Elite when he went down with his stomach injury or his, you know, ailment.
Yep.
And then now, when Okada came out, when Okada's music played on Dynamite this past week, last night, as we're recording this, I forgot that Okada was in the Elite, and I thought maybe Okada was coming out to team up with Omega against the Young Bucks. But he just comes out looking goofy as ever, by the way. Yeah. What was Okada wearing? Why was he wearing that? I would say it looked like he was wearing somebody else's clothes, but he's like the biggest guy on the roster, so he wouldn't have fit in anybody else's clothes. So they were, unless he was wearing Omos's suit. Was Omos backstage talking to MVP about something maybe? No. So I thought Okada was maybe coming out there to team up with Omega. So it's convoluted per usual in AEW, and I know they'll just come out with some. Well, here's why we did this, because I had power of attorney over Kyle Fletcher or something.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, the thing, like, it wouldn't be as bad if the Death Riders also wasn't a dud. You can't just have all these duds and then you put them all together. So it's just like, this is wild. Like, what's going on?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's definitely a lot of good in AEW right now. I think this whole MJF joining the Hurt Syndicate is awesome.
Yes.
I think he's like the perfect, let's just say, I think he's the perfect white guy to be in this group, because I don't know, he just fits in well with them. He was already wearing suits, you know?
Yeah.
And he comes out there and he just, they were doing a celebration of beating, who did they beat at the pay-per-view? They beat Big Bill and Brian Keith.
Brian Keith, yeah. Brian
Keith is just another gem on the AEW roster. He comes out the other week and he's like, so it is true, hurt people hurt people. One of the best lines. Come on, perfect. So yeah, yes. So the Hurt Syndicate beats the Learning Tree, Big Bill and Brian Keith, and then they're celebrating, and MJF comes out, just stands next to him, doesn't even say anything, just stands next to him like he's part of the Hurt Business.
It's great.
Loved it. And then he's like, come on, we hurt people, am I right, everybody? Like, That was great. That was great. This whole like with the whole like when Sami Zayn joined the Bloodline kind of thing with MJF now, I think it's good, and I do think it's leading to a match with Bob Lashley, perhaps.
I think so, yeah. Which would be good.
It's an interesting matchup because just Lashley in general in AEW, it's like there's a lot of smaller guys in AEW generally. I mean, everybody's smaller than Lashley, but just the matchups are interesting, and MJF is one of them.
Yeah, that's fun. I know Hangman wasn't that present, but I love what Hangman's doing in AEW right now. They have a lot of good stuff. Ricochet is like awesome.
Great. What Ricochet is doing right now is great. I love how and I love at the pay-per-view they were like they were chanting bald forever, bald instead of fight forever. It was bald forever, and then he would have the upper hand and they would chant like you're still bald, you're still bald.
It's awesome.
At one point it was just bald. It's great because like what are you gonna do? Like he knows he's bald. Like it's just hilarious to make fun of bald people. Like they know like they shave their own head. They know they're bald.
Yeah, it's great.
They knew they were bald before you did. So that match also at the pay-per-view was definitely the best match of the show. Dynasty was Omega versus Speedball versus Ricochet.
Uh-huh.
There was a spot where Speedball went into like the crane kick Karate Kid stance, and Ricochet is like, come on, like making fun of him. And then they just did it like a complete knockout. It was great. Like it was just like in Bloodsport when they do these like fake knockout setups where it's like bam, bam, knockout. You know, Ricochet just goes down. But yeah,
Absolutely.
so Omega is the international champion, and I think that would be. He's not in the Owen Hart tournament, Omega, right?
I don't think so.
So that's
no.
going on, but he's not in it, and neither is MJF, with the Hurt Business story going on, and but I do think that Omega is going to be mixing it up with Kazuchika Okada.
Yeah.
Probably at the biggest show coming up, which is obviously Paul White. All in Texas.
Yes, and I mean, it's gonna be great. It's almost like you don't need to build, but you kind of do. So take it seriously. It can't just be we know it's Omega and Okada. It's gonna be awesome. Like let's do some more stuff with it.
They've still been presenting Kenny Omega as the marquee, like featured top performer. I mean, his entrance is like godlike at this point. The entrances that this guy gets, and deservingly so. So what else we got in AEW? So we've got the Don Callis family. Should we get Don Callis in the mix here, folks?
Welcome to the show, Don.
Who is still in the Don Callis family? We've got Coyle Fletcher. Coyle Fletcher.
Uh-huh.
Right? And is Mark Davis injured again?
Yes, I think so.
So Powerhouse Hobbs, he's not with them, right? He hates them, right? Because they didn't call him back.
They didn't come back, yeah.
So then, who's Kyle Fletcher's like partner in the Don Callis family? Kyle Fletcher.
Let's look it up.
Gotta look up who's even in my family. I can't believe this. Tony Schiavone.
Lance Archer, right?
Lance Archer, the Murder Machines. We got Lance Archer and Brian Cage in the Don Callis family. Don't Google pictures of me from 20 years ago. Don Callis. Cyrus. What was up with that diamond on Don Callis' forehead when he was Cyrus? Or was it a teardrop, or what was it?
I think it was a diamond. I don't know.
We should ask him.
Oh, I know. We'll get him. Takeshita, of course, he's in there.
Oh, yes. It was Takeshita. So you've got Takeshita and Kyle Fletcher here. We're looking for a new member of the Don Callis family. If you want to sign up to be in the Don Callis family, call us up, DM me, and give me your bank account number. Give me your bank account, Kyle Fletcher. Tony Schiavone. What did he say? He was like, you could gas up. What did he say? Did I write it down? Oh, yeah. This is a government town. What do you expect?
Don.
So, yeah, we'll see who signs up to be in the Don Callis family. I'm curious.
Yeah, who knows? That is good. At least that's fun. Sort of.
Then, what is Will Ospreay up to these days? before we get into the other stuff on Dynamite.
Yeah, what is he up to?
Does he have a
He's in the Owen Hart Invitational, right?
Is he? Oh, so there you go. That's what I was going to say. So we also had the start of the Owen Hart tournaments, men's and women's tournaments. I like these. This is good.
Yeah.
The only thing I would nitpick about is you should turn this into your sort of G1, like not necessarily where everybody's wrestling 30 times, but just where the matches are. Maybe it's more like a best of the Super Junior then, where look, put people in here that are work rate people, right? Maybe you could even get like what's his name from New Japan, Takahashi, and all these just get Super Juniors, junior heavyweights, and have these be like 28-minute work rate matches. That's what I would do. Some chain wrestling, Owen Hart style. But
exactly. He's like, exactly.
So we had the first on the men's side. We had Will Ospreay taking on Kevin Knight, who was stepping in for a Jay White. So Jay White is injured. A lot of people are injured right now.
Yeah.
We just had Pac get injured. Don't know what's going on with him on Dynamite. Now we have Jay White. He was maybe going to be factored into that show ending at Dynasty. Maybe not. I'm not sure. So Kevin Knight comes in. That was a great match. That was like the second best match of the night at the show.
Yeah, he was good.
They gave him a lot of time. I was surprised. I thought it was really going to be like, maybe 10 minutes and Hidden Blade, and you're done.
Hidden Blade in the middle of the ring, kid.
Hit him. We'll do some stuff. Hidden Blade, and we're done.
Yeah.
It's like, we do some stuff. Hidden Blade, and we're done. And so that was a good match. And Will Ospreay advanced. So I think it's safe to say we can just hit the fast forward button on this one. Will Ospreay is going to win this tournament. Mm-hmm. He is then going to challenge for the AEW championship at All In, and he's going to win it. Because what else could you possibly do?
I know. I mean, that's got to happen.
The only other thing I can think of is Brody King wins the whole thing and does that either. Brody King wins the tournament and then wins the world championship at All In.
Swerve doesn't beat Moxley. Nope. Brody King.
No, Brody King is actually awesome.
Yeah, he is.
That match, was it with Takeshita? Did he have a match at Revolution a couple months ago? Some Brody King match recently was awesome. He's doing so much better outside of the House of Black and the Kings of the Black Throne.
Yeah.
So we had the Ospreay Kevin Knight match, and then we have. Has this one happened yet? Let me just look up. I just want to look up this Owen Hart stuff because there's some of the women's matches going down this weekend in Springfield, Massachusetts. Harley Cameron and Athena, I believe, is one of the matches.
Pretty good.
Yes, Harley Cameron and Athena going down in Springfield in the first round. And I believe the winner of that is facing Mercedes, who beat... who did Mercedes beat? Oh, Penelope, right? Is that who she beat? Penelope? Or no,
yes.
Not Penelope.
Oh, Julia Hart.
Julia Hart,
yeah. Oh, man. How did I mix them up?
Yes, we also have Jamie Hayter versus Billy Starks in Springfield. And Brody King on the men's side versus Takeshita. Come on. That's going to be awesome. So that's going to be where... So Omega... I keep thinking Omega is in this tournament. Why do I keep thinking... I'm not sure. Did I read that wrong? So you have Brody King and Takeshita, right? So Takeshita is going to win. And then you're going to get... Is it Takeshita and Will Ospreay? That's going to be awesome. If that's the
probably.
bracket.
Oh, yeah.
Anthony Bowens is someone who's back in AEW. He popped back up on the... Did I ruin my camera here? Yeah. He popped back up on the pre-show to Dynasty to answer Max Caster's open challenge. So I do like with Max Caster that they're using his moniker of the best wrestler alive kind of tongue-in-cheek because he's on like a losing streak, because it was really forced when he was just calling himself the best wrestler alive and he was just in a tag team, and then as a singles guy he's just not the best wrestler alive. It's a bit of a stretch, especially on the AEW roster where you have guys like Will Ospreay, Kyle Fletcher, Ricochet, Kenny Omega, Kazuchika Okada, So
Yes, I think that's fun.
Max Caster's been coming out and just losing to everybody. And bigger and bigger guys have been coming out and answering his challenge. It's great. And then finally at the pay-per-view, we got the return of Anthony Bowens with Billy Gunn. So Billy Gunn has sided with Bowens in this family feud of the former, the Acclaimed. So I thought that was interesting. I'm glad Bowens is back. I'm not sure where they're going to go with this Max Caster thing. I think, here's what I'll say about this tag team, the Acclaimed. Somebody's got to be the Devon. And I don't know who it's going to be yet, but somebody's going to be the Devon of this tag team. As far as being split up and being on a singles run.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like Caster's the one who can get the most heat. He's like a heat magnet.
Yeah,
but does that mean he's going to be better? I don't know.
Not in a good way, I don't think.
Touche.
I don't think it's getting... if he was a heat magnet, his open challenge was on the pay-per-view pre-show,
Good point. Touche.
I think he's trying to get heat. But I think he's just, kind of the edgelord stuff doesn't work as much.
Yeah.
As just being like MJF and Jeff Jarrett, where you're just calling each other's wives prostitutes back and forth.
That's how you get over.
Yeah, you can't.
Age-old tradition.
You can't go around the edges, Max Caster. You got to go right in the middle and call a man's wife a whore.
Yes.
So, what else is going on in AEW? Got the trios titles. And, so you got the trios titles held by the Death Riders, which now who knows what's going to happen because of this potential injury with Pac. But it definitely seemed like they were lined up to have a feud with the Ops, which I don't like the name, the Ops, but I think they're growing on me as a stable and as a trio. Samoa Joe and Hook and Shibata.
I love it. Yeah. What a trio.
At first I was like, this is just three random guys, but now there's cohesion there, They're all badasses in their own way.
Yes, I agree.
And Samoa Joe is just the most ridiculous person in the world. Is he not?
He's the best.
He just puts 150% into everything. And at the end of Dynamite, he's spitting into the microphone. And I'm just laughing. He's like, you sons of bitches. He's like, just spitting into the mic. And it's like he couldn't stop. And you knew he was exputing constantly. And he just couldn't stay. He's just had to kind of go with it.
That's a pro.
Even going back to watching when Samoa Joe was in WWE, when he's facing off with Brock Lesnar, he just always stood his ground. He never backed down from anybody. I think that's why people like him.
I agree. Yep.
When was Samoa Joe ever punked out in his entire career in wrestling?
Yeah, never. You couldn't find one.
Extended beatdown, made to make Samoa Joe look weak.
Impossible. Can't do it.
If it happened, I already forgot about it because he's such a badass.
Exactly. Can't do it.
Right. So, I don't know what's going to happen, though, but I definitely like the idea of those three kind of getting the trios titles off the Death Riders and just doing something else with them. But then we have another thing that's going on in AEW that I wanted to get to, which is these. You want to talk about sons of bitches. How about Daniel and David, these sons of bitches from North Carolina, turning on Adam, FTR.
Yeah.
These guys turned on their friend. And I thought it was just Dax. I thought Dax was just on one. And no, Cash, the follower that he is, Cash Wheeler, right? Doesn't think for himself. Doesn't have a single thought in his head. He's got to go by whatever FTR Bald tells him to do.
FTR Bald, yeah, that's it.
FTR Hair can't think for himself.
Poor Cope.
And they turn on Cope. And I'm calling them Daniel and David because if you remember way back in the day, when Seth Rollins invaded Edge's house, Edge called his wife, Beth, and said, go to Daniel and David's house. And Daniel and David were his buddies from Asheville, North Carolina, better known as Dax and Cash.
Yes, perfect. I love it.
So they made it seem like, Dax was going to be kind of the one of the trio that was not being friendly, but I don't know if he drank some of that Kaza. What's that expensive tequila? Kaza.
I don't know
either. Oh, well.
That's out of my range.
I wonder if he had too much tequila at his FTR bar in his basement and convinced Cash to go along with his scheme. But yeah, so they turned on Cope and, laid him out. He's out indefinitely now. I don't know, how long he's going to be out, but now we're getting the heel FTR, which is long overdue. These guys, how many times can you listen to them come out and just put over the Hitman?
I know. we all love the Hitman. We all love putting him over, but come on.
Yeah, it was time, right, for these guys to turn heel. Plus, Dax blurted it out. I'm talking about the expensive tequila because he did a podcast a while back where he was like drinking back when, remember FTR with Dax, that podcast endeavor that he did?
Yes.
He basically blurted it out before Edge was even in AEW. People were like, yeah, we'd love to see you guys versus Edge and Christian. And he's like, yeah, that's closer than you think. And that was a while ago. But that was obviously before Edge. Edge was like still in WWE at that point.
Oof.
And
that's going to happen too, right? That's where we're heading.
I think we're finally... So Christian doesn't have that contract. He hasn't really been seen. I don't know how long Cope is going to be out for, but I think with Christian, he's such a bad guy. His character is such a bad person.
Yeah.
That you have to have he can't just come out and be like, okay, I'm a good guy now. Like, he has to kind of redeem himself because
that's good.
He's such an awful, despicable human being that if he just comes out, it's not going to be good enough.
I agree.
Just terrible person. Jay Rizzo, no.
But that'd be so much fun when he does become good.
Right. So I think that maybe they keep him off TV is what I'm trying to say until a reveal where now he's a good guy. But like I said, how do you make him a good guy? He's such a piece of shit. No.
Just have him save. Just have him save Copeland.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to technically be good or say anything. Just save him and be in a match with him.
They could do like a hug. Like, you're not sure what's Christian going to do maybe. But that's what I feel like they should have done already is Cope is getting laid out. Christian comes out like, what's he going to do? What's he going to do? Sides with Cope. Saves the day. Something like that, So we'll see what happens with that. I do think that is coming down. Maybe that's something as well for All In, because what I feel like is happening is Double or Nothing is usually the big WrestleMania-esque pay-per-view for AEW because it was their first show. They already moved it out of Las Vegas because of the proximity to WWE essentially running a month earlier in Las Vegas, WrestleMania. So they moved it to like Arizona, and I'm starting to think that they're going to be putting more focus on All In Texas being a bigger show than Double or Nothing. So maybe All In is where we have these big title matches and these big blow-off matches like, Ospreay versus, I don't know, Moxley or Okada and Omega, and then maybe FTR versus Edge and Christian. It seems like everything big would be leading to that show. So maybe Double or Nothing is where we have maybe like an Omega and Swerve tag match against the Young Bucks and something like that,
Yeah. It makes sense because that would give enough time for all these stories to play out and for Christian to like not be an asshole anymore.
All right, so that about does it for this episode of Watch Wrestling with Mike Wellman. It is good to be back, folks. We appreciate you sticking with us to the end of the show. We appreciate you coming back to the podcast that breaks down the biggest stories in and out of the ring. The biggest spear in or out of the ring is how we will end this episode. Kris, did you see Braun Breaker destroy Carlito Caribbean Cool on Raw?
Yes.
Oh my God, I've never seen a spear like that in my entire life. Have you?
No, and being a man who's getting close to 40, I felt every bit of that. Poor Carlito.
He ran so fast that what do you even do after you have impact with another person? So he goes and he crashes into Carlito and he does a flip past Carlito. He did a freaking somersault and Carlito is just dead on the ground. Come on, you got to sell that with like a 6-month break from TV.
I mean, he might not even need to sell it. He might just need to actually take that much time off.
Yeah, right. It's not selling. He's just hurt.
Yeah.
I don't know how, but it's like, you really can't spear a person that fast. It would hurt you. You'd probably drill your head into the mat. You'd destroy their organs. So it's like, how do you take a little bit off of that at all? You just do a flip. You just do a flip.
I guess that's how you do it.
So I just had to talk about that spear. My God, from Braun Breaker before we get out of here. So yes, that about does it for this episode. Be sure to find us on social media. I didn't really list off all the socials because I'm kind of all over the place. I deleted X. I'm toxic on Threads. I don't like anything on Facebook, so I don't know, folks, where we're at. But just find the podcast on social media. Find the podcast wherever you find your podcast. Apple, Spotify, YouTube. Thank you, folks. We will be back. Until next time, my friends.